Welcome to Vidhi Judicial Academy and welcome to the part 2 of the series wherein we are looking at the most important judgments of the Supreme Court for CLAT PG 2025. We have already seen the case number 1, which was Anup Barnawal versus Union of India, dealing with the appointment of Election Commission of India, and this is the second important judgment with the name of Animal Welfare Board of India versus Union of India, which is also referred to as the Jallikattu judgment. As we all know, previously you must have heard that Jallikattu had been banned by the Supreme Court. What does this case deal with? Again, we'll start with the details of the case. In the last video also, we saw that questions are often asked from just the details of the case. So the name of the case is Animal Welfare Board of India versus Union of India. Animal Welfare Board of India were the petitioners in this case. Okay, it was decided on 18/5/2023. What was the bench? It's very easy to remember. The bench is the same that was in Anup Barnawal. It comprised of K.M. Joseph, Ajay Rastogi, Anirudh Bose, Hrishikesh Roy and C.T. Ravi Kumar. That was the 5-judge bench. Okay, it was a constitutional bench. That is why it is very important. Further, the author of the judgment was Anirudh Bose. It is important. Sometimes we have seen in the previous year, even the author of the judgment has been asked. Now let us start from the background of the case. What was the factual matrix around which this case has revolved? First of all, there was a case in 2014, a very important case. Okay, we have to remember this. A. Nagaraja versus Animal Welfare Board of India. This was the case which had put a ban on practices like Jallikattu, Kambala and bull cart racing. These are sports which involve animals, and these sports were banned because it was held in A. Nagaraja case that they are violative of Prevention of Cruelty to Animals Act 1960. We have to remember this act also, the name of the act. This was the act which was involved in the A. Nagaraja case and even in this case. So, Jallikattu is a sport that is played in Tamil Nadu, Kambala in Karnataka and bull cart racing in Maharashtra. Okay, these are the 3 sports that are an issue. And again, what has happened is very important after the A. Nagaraja judgment. What happened after A. Nagaraja judgment? A. Nagaraja judgment put a ban on these 3 sports. What did the state do? The state came up with, all the 3 states came up with state amendments to Prevention of Cruelty to Animals Act, PCA Act. Okay? They came with an amendment and these amendments received presidential assent. And after these amendments, these sports were again allowed in the respective states. So this is a petition by Animal Welfare Board of India which is challenging these amendments. The petitioners have challenged these amendments. They have contended that it is violative of, first of all, the A. Nagaraja judgment and also violative of the PCA Act. What were the issues involved? See, there were 4 issues involved and we'll deal with each issue separately. First of all, let us look at the issues as a whole. The first issue was that, can Jallikattu be protected as a practice of Tamil Nadu, as a cultural practice of Tamil Nadu? Important. Can it be given a status of a cultural practice? That was the first issue. The second issue was, is the Tamil Nadu amendment which allowed Jallikattu again violative of A. Nagaraja judgment? Is it violative of the previous judgment of the Supreme Court that was rendered in 2014 imposing a ban on the sport of Jallikattu? The issue number 3 was, does Jallikattu in the present form after the amendments violate the PCA Act of 1960? The fourth, a very important issue, do animals have fundamental rights? It is a very often asked questions by animal lovers also. Do animals have fundamental rights? Now, we look at what was held in each issue separately. The issue number 1 was, can Jallikattu be protected as a cultural practice? Yes, the court held that the Tamil Nadu legislature is empowered to place Jallikattu as a cultural practice of Tamil Nadu. The court further held that judiciary cannot be a body to determine whether it is a part of Tamil Nadu's culture or not. It is the legislature who has to decide. Therefore, yes, legislature can. The state legislature of Tamil Nadu can recognize it as a cultural practice. That was the answer to the issue number 1. What was issue number 2? The issue number 2 was whether the amendment of Tamil Nadu, the state amendment of Tamil Nadu to the PCA Act, is it violative of A. Nagaraja judgment of 2014? The court held that no, it is not violative of A. Nagaraja judgment. Why did it say so? It was held that after the amendment has minimized the pain and suffering. Actually, the amendment which was made to the PCA Act, they changed the way Jallikattu has to be played. The way Jallikattu was conducted has overgone a change, and many activities which were involved, which were seen as animal cruelty, like using of chili powder in the eyes of the bulls or twisting their tails, they have been eradicated by these judgments. So that is why it has been seen that the way Jallikattu was played before or at the time of A. Nagaraja judgment and today, there has been a substantial change. So the situations are different. So it is not violative of A. Nagaraja judgment. The way the Jallikattu is being played now is very different from what it was at the time of A. Nagaraja. So it was held that no, it is not violative of A. Nagaraja judgment. What is the issue number 3? Issue number 3 is, does Jallikattu violate the PCA Act? The court again held that the sport has gone a substantial change. It has undergone a substantial change, and now it does not, the conduct in which it is being played, it does not violate the PCA Act. Very important, we have to remember that the way Jallikattu is being played or is conducted now after the amendments is not violative of the PCA Act. Further, what was the issue number 4? The issue number 4 was, do animals have fundamental rights? The court held no, animals do not have fundamental rights. Our constitution does not give the fundamental rights to animals. So it's a very important thing. And further, it held that even if fundamental rights have to be endowed upon the animals, the court cannot do that. It is only the legislature who is empowered to do so. So if the question is whether the animals have fundamental rights, no, they do not. Okay. So what was the basic decision? The decision was all the 3 practices, Kambala, bull cart racing and Jallikattu, were held legal. They were not illegal and they were held to be valid and legal. An important part of the judgment wherein as to what were the articles of the constitution that were involved in the present judgment. The first article was Article 14, which talks about equality before law and equal protection of laws. What is the difference between equality before law and equal protection of laws? Please answer it in the comment section. Now we look into the important articles that were discussed in this judgment. Important articles of the Constitution. The first important article was Article 14. Article 14 talks about equality before law and equal protection of laws. What is the difference between equality before law and equal protection of laws? I guess you'll know that, so please answer it in the comment section. The second article was Article 21. Again, it relates to life and personal liberty. Article 48, which is a directive principle of state policy in Part 4 of the Constitution, which talks about organization of agriculture and animal husbandry. This article was also talked about in this judgment. Then there are 2 fundamental duties that were referred to. The first was Article 51 AG, that it shall be duty of every citizen to protect and improve the natural environment, including the forest, lakes, rivers and wildlife. The second fundamental duty which was discussed was Article 51 AH, that it shall be the duty of every citizen of India to develop scientific temper, humanism and spirit of inquiry and reform. As we have seen, there were 2 fundamental duties that are talked about in this judgment. Sometimes what the consortium does, the consortium does is that they ask ancillary or incidental questions. Now we have seen that in this case, two fundamental duties were discussed. There is a slight possibility, not a slight possibility, it's a big possibility that they can ask questions on fundamental duties. 26 January 1950, were fundamental duties present in the constitution, in the original constitution? The answer is no. They were added by a very important amendment, 42nd Amendment 1976. We all know fundamental duties are not enforceable in law. Okay? Where were these duties added? These duties were added. A new part in the constitution and a new article was inserted. The new part is part 4A of the constitution, and the new article was article 51A. Article 51A, article 51A. Okay? Again, how many duties were there in the original constitution? In the original constitution, there were only 10 duties. Only 10 fundamental duties were there. Now there are 11 duties. Now what becomes important? The amendment which changed it from 10 to 11. It was the 86th Amendment. 86th Amendment 2002, which added the 11th fundamental duty. So there are now 11 fundamental duties. Okay, and the 11th fundamental duty, it relates to the education of children aged between 6 to 14 years of age. Okay, so that was the decision, the judgment, observation, issues involved, and everything about the Jallikattu judgment. It is very important, a high probability of being asked in the upcoming examination. Thank you.